How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the Beyond the Arc podcast. And today, me and Sully are going to be reviewing some second round matchups on the NBA playoffs. The last time we spoke was just before the second round began. Well, just before most of the second round began. Um, and yeah, we're just the first two games being played in every single series. So we're gonna get talking right now. Obviously, by the time this comes out tomorrow on the 7th. This some game threes will have been played, but as this is being recorded, we're going to be talking about the first two games on every single series. Sully, how are we doing today, man?
I'm doing good, bro. I'm doing very good. I have been enjoying some round two basketball, and I'm I'm kind of shocked the way things have been playing out so far, to be honest. But I'm liking what I'm seeing.
You caught some of the games?
I've managed to catch a couple. I caught the Boston game two, and I believe I caught the Warriors game one as well.
Yeah, your sleeping schedule's mad, man. I
Yeah,
can't
it
stay
is.
up for that long to watch those late games. I did catch some of the Sunday games though, so
Yeah.
I did catch the first Boston and the first Memphis game. Um, and yeah, they have the ins and outs of probably what could be really good series. Although we said that a
Mm.
lot about the last few series, um, and well, ended up not really happening. But
Yeah.
we will get onto that in a little bit more detail later on in the podcast. But before we get into some stuff, make sure that you're liking and subscribing on the video. Make sure that you're commenting, interacting, all that good stuff, sharing it out. And yeah, I think before we've got to get into some round two reviews, we didn't finish up our Memphis Minnesota review because that series finished last
Yeah.
Friday or
It finished
Saturday.
just
I forget.
before,
It finished. It finished
just
after
after
we
the yeah.
recorded. Is what I'm trying to say here. Um, Memphis ended up closing that out 4-2. The last time we talked, it was 3-2. We
Mm.
were thinking, is it going to be going to 7? Is it not? Um, in the end, Memphis did close it out, which means that I actually predicted that one properly, which means that I ended up winning our first round predictions. So
Ooh.
I'm a little bit ahead there. I'm a little bit ahead. Um, but in the end, yeah, Memphis just pulled through.
They did. They fully did.
I didn't think that they would, if I'm honest with you.
I'm on that side too. I mean, we were both saying how a game seven was probably on the cards. I was adamant, to be honest. I thought, yeah, it has to be. And I mean, I think it's come to that kind of idea. Memphis and Minnesota. Minnesota kind of showed they're like the new um chokes of the fourth quarter team. They've taken
Yeah,
that
they did
lead.
it again, didn't they?
It was bad. Like, I don't understand how you can consistently choke. What, 20 points? Like,
Yeah,
it's
they
mad.
controlled probably about 75% of this series and ended up losing
They
in
fully
six.
did.
So
But it's the clutch time when it matters, and unfortunately, they just didn't have it, which is mad. 20-point like deficit again
mhm.
that they dropped is crazy. It's really crazy.
And that's even with Jar not playing that well.
Mm.
Obviously Memphis did lock him up quite well.
They know how to
In
lock up Jaw. They just forget the rest of the team.
in the end, Memphis's like role players around him ended up pulling through. Um, and then obviously that marks the end of the Minnesota Timberwolves NBA season. What do we think is next for Minnesota? Do we think that they have enough to go on a very similar run with the likes of the Clippers, the Pelicans, the Lakers, hopefully, getting better next season? Do we reckon that they'll still have enough to challenge for that top six, or do we think
Nah,
that they need to have a few extra additions in there?
I think they definitely need to add a few more additions to their team. They need to strengthen it a little bit because once the Clippers come back healthy and Zion comes back and LeBron trades loads of people, then I think they won't be looking like they'll be able to surpass any of those teams when the end of next season comes about. If they're using the same squad, I think they're gonna have to make some changes. Not that they aren't a good squad; they are a good squad, and they kind of shocked a lot of people with how well they were this year. But I think if now they want to put themselves in that top bracket, they need to be better.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think a lot of people were surprised with how one Anthony Edwards played in this series. I think he's got the
Yeah,
marks of being one of the. This is his team. You know,
100%, 100%.
Cat may think that he's the franchise player here. This is Anthony Edwards' team.
I
D'Angelo
think
Russell
go
had
on.
an absolutely
Oh, stinky,
awful series.
stinky performance. I think that has to be up there as well with like from a good player, one of the worst first round performances.
I
Like,
think, yeah, definitely. And I feel kind of sorry for him because when he was at Brooklyn, you were kind of thinking this guy's found a place where he wants to be, but he ended up
yeah,
falling victim of the KD trade. Kind of uh, went around Golden State, and now is at Minnesota, not doing much. Is the third option. I feel like he thrives as a number one option,
yeah, he
and I
is
think having him as
because
the third option there ain't
mm,
really it. Do we really think that? Do we think that maybe? I think this could go two ways. I've been thinking you could either trade him, so I feel like
mm,
he might still have a bit of good trade value in there. You know, he has shown that he is all star level,
I think he's got some trade value.
or maybe even you could do what Miami have done with Tyler Hero and just limit him to minutes off the bench potentially.
It could work as well because the thing is, if you know you're only gonna come on for 25 something minutes, and you know that's it, you're gonna give a good 25 minutes, which is exactly what Tyler Hero did, and he showed, yeah, like he gave us bubble Tyler Hero almost every single game for 25 minutes.
Won that six man of the year as well
Exactly. He more
by a
than deserved,
landslide. Yeah.
literally. And I think I do think D'Angelo still has it. He just needs to find it again
Mm-hmm.
because I remember there was a brief period, it wasn't for very long, where he was at. So obviously, like you said, he was part of the KD trade and he was at Golden State for maybe half the year. And because Steph was injured as well for some of it, he was the number one guy at Golden State, which sounds like a fever dream. It sounds like it never happened.
Yeah.
Like D'Angelo was the number one guy at Golden State, but and he was good. Like he was good for them. He was dropping points. I'm. Someone might have to correct me, but I'm sure I remember him dropping a 50-point game as well for Golden State. I remember
That
that,
sounds familiar. Yeah, that does
and
sound familiar.
like so we know he's still good. That wasn't that long ago, 2 years ago or something. So
Two,
we
three.
know he's
Yeah.
still got it. Like you don't lose that type of game in 2 years. It's not like he's had an injury or anything. He's been playing. He just, like you said, he needs to be the front runner in the team, or he has to be limited to a certain amount of minutes so he can do the most in those minutes.
I'm
But
not even saying like limit his minutes because game six he ended up only playing 27 minutes anyway, but he did start. So I'm just thinking maybe have him lead the bench.
it could work.
Well, if he is okay doing that, obviously, you know, egos that fly around these
Mm,
days. Um, just maybe even just to get his confidence back up a little bit, you know, have him play against some of your dead players
mm.
and make them better whilst making yourself better at some point.
Plus, when you're coming off the bench, you're going to be coming up against people who aren't as good as the starting five, and it's going to mean that he's getting
Yeah,
like
exactly.
points against people he wouldn't normally be up against for the same amount of time. I think that could work, to be honest. So if he was to stay at Minnesota as well, he could be next year's sixth man of the year if
Yeah, maybe.
if that works the way it works. Like, but that I mean that sounds like it could work.
Yeah, definitely. So, so next season, just a quick little prediction. Obviously, we're not looking forward to next season yet. We've
Mm,
still got the rest of the playoffs going, but the Minnesota Timberwolves is done for them now.
mm.
Prediction: Do we think it's a top seven finish, or do we think it's a little bit lower? Do you think it's going to be a bit of a struggle for them?
It's gonna be tough. They're gonna have to find some fight and some assets and work around some things. But I I don't see why they can't push for it. Actually, finishing in the top seven is different. Top 10, I think definitely.
Mm-hmm. Okay, fair. Definitely. So they lost to Memphis, and we'll move swiftly on to our second round coverage now. And I'm looking forward to reviewing this because I feel like this is got all the marks for a classic 7 game
Mm,
series, but that is only if Memphis can carry this onto the 2 road games that they've got at San
Yeah.
Francisco at the moment, because I think a lot of people have been questioning whether home court advantage is a thing, especially after like 4 of the first round at least. Like it might even be more. Finished in 6 with the road team closing out on the road. So maybe it's not a thing, but I think it's not a thing when there's a big golfing class between 2 teams.
Yeah.
When it's something as close as this, and I don't think many people were expecting this to be that close,
Mm.
this series. But from these first 2 games, very, very
They look very close.
well contested, close games. That San Francisco crowd might give Golden State the push that they need to go 3-1 up. And I feel like once they go 3-1 up, there's no turning back for them.
Yeah, I mean, John might phone LeBron and ask him what powers he used in the finals. But I think, to be honest, I do think that Golden State are going to take the series, but I think Memphis are going to give them some fight. Even game 1, when Golden State took it, they only just took it. Like, it
Yeah.
wasn't by a lot.
Yeah.
And then obviously Memphis took game 2 as well. And game 2 was like, more of a no contest than game 1 was, in terms of the winning team separating their quality from the losing team. And Golden State, obviously, they're gonna have to maybe fix up a little bit if they want to try and take it, because all it takes is for them to slip up
Yeah,
in the
still was
next.
only a 5-point win,
Yeah.
game 2, and level after 3. You touched on game 1 there, and I want to put this out. This might be a hot take. Is Jordan Poole Golden State's number 2 man at the moment?
Mm. It's a good question. At the moment, you have to say yes. I
Klay
think you have.
Thompson genuinely has had 2 awful games shooting. Yes, he hit them. They hit that very clutch free that ultimately ended up winning them the game. Game 1,
Mm.
he pulled out the stop against Ja in game 1 to win him the game. But shooting wise, it's not been that good. I think, did I get it down? No, I haven't. So I'll just on the fly now. Game 2, he went 5 of 19 from the field. Game 1, he went 6 of 19 from the field. 2 very
Been great
poor shooting performances. And
from.
another thing that I want to put out there, Klay Thompson 3-4 years ago doesn't miss those 2 free throws down in the clutch game 1. I'm not
Yeah,
sure if you saw them ones.
I saw them
Obviously, he made up for it by pulling
with
out that
the.
defensive play.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was around someone else who likes basketball, and we saw that Klay was going to the line, and we were like, nah, this is it now. And then he missed
Yeah,
both the free throws.
which is
And we,
mad because that was unexpected. I watched that too, and I was like, looking around like, Clay? That's not Clay. That's someone else. It's the imposter, because my Clay is not missing easy free throws like that in the clutch moments. We've seen he was clutch later on, so we know he's clutch, but like that, he shouldn't be doing that. And we know, like you said, 3 years ago, never. We saw him hit 2 threes with
the
ACL
Achilles,
being torn.
the injury.
So
Yeah.
if 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 he's doing that and it's not even a clutch moment, like, I think at the moment you have to say Jordan Poole is number 2.
Yeah,
But
because you look in comparison, that Jordan Poole game 1, led the team in scoring, joint led the team in rebounds, led the team in assists, led the team in blocks, shot 60% from the field, 50% from free. He's efficient and good, like all around.
and I think him being surrounded by Clay and Steph and then Draymond, because he is now like the number 4. Like, they've turned themselves from a big 3 to potentially a big 4 looking at next year. Like, because I don't want to come up against Steph, Clay, Jordan Poole, and Draymond. So that technically, especially right now
I mean,
in this playoff,
at the
you're
moment, I
looking
won't
at.
mind coming up against Clay, but
I mean, if you catch him on the wrong day, like, but that's technically is a big 4. So
yeah,
now got himself into probably the best. Like, if you're talking big 3, big 4 kind of thing in the league, and he's clearly learning things from all of them. He's
yeah,
learning, like you said, he led the team in blocks. He's learning from Draymond. He's learning from Steph. He'll be learning from Clay. He'll be learning from all of them. And I think right now he is the most efficient at
Hmm.
that team, and you have to give him number two.
Hmm.
But I would say don't take it away from my boy just yet because Clay can come nice. He hasn't been as amazing as he's been seen to be throughout his career, but I think he can still bring it.
Yeah,
However, not at the consistent level that Jordan Poole's been bringing at the moment.
no, definitely.
So I think at the moment you have to give him that number two spot right as of right now.
Yeah,
Going into next year is a different story. I don't know how it's going to be,
yeah. Who
but
knows? I mean,
especially for the
going into
mm,
these later playoff games, you don't know what the
yeah,
story's going to be either. So
but and to be honest, as of right now, especially in this series, if you see Jordan Poole playing as well as he's playing, you're gonna give him the freedom because normally when a player's that good in a game in a series, they keep it going because they're feeling it. And sometimes on the opposite effect, if a player has a bad game one and a game two, you maybe limit them because they're not feeling the rest of the series and they need the series to end so they can move on to the next. Then do you know what I mean? So I think maybe going forward in game 3 and 4 and 5, they might not even like use Clay as much as they used to, and it might just take it more down to Jordan Poole, and then if they need to hit it with Clay because they need to use their strong points more now than ever to take the series because Memphis is strong, they're hungry,
yeah,
and they're trying to prove people wrong, and they've been doing it well so far.
yeah,
And all it takes is for, you know, Golden State to think, oh, Clay's had a bad 2 games, and then they keep doing, the usual routine, and it doesn't work, and then they drop a game or 2 games.
yeah.
Because you don't want that against a young, hungry side, because
No,
they'll eat you.
yeah, definitely. I mean, Game 3 is going to be a little bit harder for Memphis, in my opinion, mainly because they will be without Dillon Brooks, who is one of their, well, he is probably their third option, I'd say, guard wise, because of his ejection in Game 2, which then leaves me to the ejections that have happened. Shall we start with the Draymond one?
Yeah,
Because I personally find the Draymond one funny because Draymond Green, shout out Draymond Green, he's a basketball player and also an analyst. Like he's a good basketball player and also an analyst, so he'll play 30 minutes and then take a shower, go home, and then just review his game on a podcast like literally like hours later. And it's like you don't see that happening
well, that's
ever
how the good
in
players
anyone's.
become great players.
Yeah, definitely. So he ultimately did get ejected that game one. He said that it came down to a reputation thing. I personally agree with that.
Mm.
I do feel like it's a flagrant one. Maybe he does kind of drag him down a little bit, but there is unnecessary contact there, which is why I think it's a flagrant one. It's not unnecessary contact that intentionally endangers a like Brandon Clark isn't in any position there to like break anything or
Yeah,
anything like that. So I feel like, do we agree with that? Do we think that Draymond Green probably should have stayed in there, but could have possibly got a flagrant one for it?
I think I think the ejection. The thing is, it all depends. Like he said, it's a reputation thing, and it just depends the way someone's looking at it because they look at it simply on the fact that is he endangering him? Is he like is there any foul play involved? And me personally, I don't think he should have been ejected, but I can also understand where they came from. So it's kind of one of those things. And even he also agreed. He was like I get it, but I don't think it should have happened, kind of thing. And to be honest, you have to just respect. Like obviously, he was just trying to make sure he don't fall down anything, Clark, and respect there. But sometimes like there's ways you have to go about things because of how the refs view
Yeah,
the game.
you. Yeah,
And him,
yeah,
and obviously because of that he got ejected, and
yeah,
then ultimately they lost the game as well.
yeah.
So I mean
Do we?
things.
Well, I mean, they didn't lose the game; they won that game,
Oh,
game
was
one,
that? Oh, it was game
which
one
is.
they got ejected.
I was gonna say, I was gonna ask, do we think that the Grizzlies most definitely will end up coming to rue that loss without Draymond for half of the game and in a position where they could have got it won with the Jarmus layup?
I mean, they were very close. They were good.
Yeah,
They could be two up by now,
yeah,
which
definitely.
would be
So
mad.
yeah, I think they will come to rue that. especially given that there's no Dillon Brooks game 3, because there was absolutely no debate that Dillon Brooks should have got ejected inside 2 minutes for what he did
Mm.
against Gary Payton. He's also been suspended for game 3, which is why I keep saying that he ain't going to be playing. He's broke his elbow, I think, Gary Payton.
No.
He's going to be out for about a month, so that's big because
Wow.
he's the guy that you're expecting to guard Ja. You know, he's your best
Yeah,
defensive guard, and well, Ja ended up scoring 47 game 2 without Gary Payton in there.
which is
Um,
mad.
I mean, annoyingly enough, I feel like there isn't much more that you can do other than suspending one game because that's how the NBA have kind of treated stuff like that. Grayson
Yeah.
Allen ended up being suspended one game for what he did to Alex Caruso.
Mm.
Um, Dillon Brooks literally just ran down the court, clotheslined Gary Payton whilst he was in midair, sent into the floor. And
I think it has to be more than one game though. Like
I mean,
the way I saw.
I think so too. It's the playoffs as well. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
You know, like
Like
these games are like these games are so important that there could be an element of dirty play in there. You know, a lot of
that
people have been
was.
saying that it wasn't dirty. You know, Steve Kerr even came out and said he didn't think it was dirty, but he broke an NBA code, is what he said. But you got to be thinking somewhere in that mind. You're thinking, is this what I'm going to do here? Is it going to impact us more positively, or is
Mm.
it going to impact them more positively? Obviously, this means Dillon Brooks isn't going to be playing for the next game, but it also means that Gary Payton's going to be out for the rest of the series.
Potentially the rest of the playoffs.
Yeah, potentially the rest of the playoffs. So, and like I said, he's you've spoke highly about Gary Payton before to me. When he gets his chance, and he showed it in the series against Denver, that guy can be one of the best 3-and-D guys the NBA's got. So it's a shame to see him out there. Well, not out there anymore. I think that Dillon Brooks probably should get suspended more, but I do understand why it's only one because of the precedent that the NBA has
Mm.
kind of set. Um,
Yeah,
I think maybe potentially like a 3-4 game suspension.
I agree. And to be honest, because I know obviously a lot of people, sort of some people, anyways, are saying it's not dirty play there, but I think the intent was there. I think the intent to stop him and to hurt him was there. Like you don't attack someone like that the way he hit him in an NBA game unless you're trying to hurt someone. Because
Mhm.
I mean, and I don't know. Truthfully, I don't know if it was, if it wasn't, but I think it was. So I think whether he was trying to hurt him or not, I don't know. But I feel as though just because of the severity as well, like he's broken his elbow, he's gonna miss the whole playoffs now, because that's like at least a 4 week, 6 week thing, and that's Gary Payton, like you said, a great player. He's out now. It's it might be looking at like you said, he probably knew no matter what, he's only missing one max 2 games, whereas Gary Payton's out now, and he was probably thinking about that. I don't know. It's a weird one. I don't know how certain people are looking at it, but I didn't like that. To be honest, I thought that was kind of mad. And Gary Payton, like you said, I really like the guy. I think he's a great player, and for him to miss out the rest of the series is like really great news if you're a Memphis fan. But if you're a Golden State fan, it's not at all.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
Steve Kerr's got a job on his hands now, because you would put a lot of importance on Gary Payton stopping a lot of those shots and a lot of points from Memphis and Ja especially, and now they're gonna have to work around that, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. So obviously we have predicted this. It wasn't actually on the podcast. I put in Golden State in 6. I think you put in 5.
Yeah, I did.
Are you stick? Well, obviously we can't change it, but do you still think that's gonna happen? Or
I don't know now. I mean, Memphis have been good both games. I'm not gonna lie to you. They've been good both games, even though they took a L on the first game. They've been good, and you'd think that they continue to like bring their own fire, and it could go to 6, maybe even 7. I don't know. I mean, all Golden State need is to like smoke them in one game, and I feel like they'll just continue.
Yeah,
But if it's just about are Memphis going to give them that opportunity, I don't know. They've not had that opportunity yet in the first two games. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like when in the first round when Golden State were 2 up against Denver, everyone knew like it's Denver not coming back from this at all, and it was only 2-0. Like technically, it's not done at all, and it's kind of mad to say right now. You don't really know who could take it,
yeah,
which is crazy because this is Golden State. Like a lot of people a month or two ago were saying, yeah, they're gonna make the final. They might even win the chip. Right now, it's here or there if they're even gonna make the series.
yeah.
So I don't know, but I think this one could go to 7 to be honest. But obviously, my prediction is 5. If it happens, that would be mad. But I think it might end up going to 7 to be honest.
Fair, fair. Well, we'll move on to the other Western um semi, Western Conference semi. Suns Mavs, not as exciting. We probably don't have much to talk about.
Mm.
Literally, all probably there is to talk about is that Luka just doesn't have the help that he needs to
Yeah,
overcome
man.
this monster that is the Phoenix Suns.
Or just
Probably,
anyone, like, he just doesn't have the help. Like, the guy's back must be, like, in so much pain because he's been carrying this team and it's it's so bad because I'm looking like I've not seen any of the Phoenix games this series, and I'm seeing game one, Luca. Oh damn, he dropped like 35 plus, but they still lost. Okay, game two, oh my god, Luca dropped 40 whatever. Oh, they still lost. It's like how much more can one man do, and nobody else do anything? It's so crazy because if there's one guy who's half decent, they're probably taking some games away from this series
hmm
because of how much Luca is
yeah.
doing.
The likes of Jalen Brunson haven't really stepped up as much as he did first round. Um, and also Chris Paul and Devin Booker are they've been having some of CP through special stuff
Mm,
because bros have been doing bits these
yeah.
first two games, especially game two. They combined, they both shot like 60% from the field each,
Mad.
and when you got a backcourt that can do that perfectly, um, we say DeMar DeRozan, people like that, king of the mid range. Anyone who plays for the Suns are a good mid range team, and the Dallas Mavericks give up a lot of mid range shots. So when that happens, it's hard for the Mavericks to really stay in there, even with Luca putting up all time performances. Like the dude is genuinely a young goat, but
Definitely.
ultimately his legacy is probably going to be decided on games like this, and he's going to need some help to
Whether or not the Mavs
do so.
actually decide to go out there and recruit some help for him, some
Yeah,
serious help. Because if they don't, then yeah, it's gonna be like one of those, guys. Oh, he was amazing, but he never got to win it.
hmm yeah,
And
definitely.
there's becoming too many of those now as well. Like, I mean, you just look in the history books, you see some amazing players who never won it, and obviously, like if we're looking at our game right now, we've got CP who every year looks like it and doesn't. And he's gonna go down as probably like in the same way that Allen Iverson has, like how he was amazing in every way, but he's got nothing to show for it in terms of championship, nothing like that. Everyone knows AI was the guy, but the championship there's no ring. And
Yeah,
Luca, he definitely does not want to go down that road because that guy can win finals MVP, MVP, championships, everything, scoring titles. He can win it all. He really can.
yeah,
He just needs that help because
yeah,
you really can't do it on your own. Like
yeah,
even LeBron had Kyrie at the Cavs. Do you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
he needs someone.
yeah. I mean, this isn't going to be a sweep. I don't see any situation where this is a sweep. Someone has to step up, or I mean, Phoenix have played 2 very good games so far. Like they've got to perhaps step it down a little bit. Well, they probably won't intentionally try and step it down, but they will, one way or another, step it down a little bit, perhaps in these next 2 games. And yeah, Dallas might get one. But yeah, this is Phoenix's year, and they're really capitalizing it on it this year, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm the other Western Conference, I'm looking at that Phoenix team, kind of praying that they just fall off by the time it gets to the conference finals because, like I said in the first round, they're looking for blood after what happened last year, and right now they're getting it.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting it badly. They, even though it was kind of mad when New Orleans took a couple of games off them, they still smoked them.
Mm-hmm.
They're smoking Dallas right now, and even though you're saying it can't be a sweep, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, the way I'm seeing it is like Phoenix. You said they might, like, the sweep isn't going to happen, but I don't see anyone stepping up for Mavs. Like, the way they came in the last 2 games, it looks like it might be Luka trying his absolute hardest, doing the most, but nobody else doing anything.
Yeah.
And it could end up being a sweep, and especially if a sweep is pulled off semi-finals of the playoffs, that team is probably the most, if one of the most dangerous out of all the semi-finalists.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because you wouldn't want to come up against them. You want them to like have a surprise upset in the conference finals or something, because Phoenix are looking a lot more dangerous this year than last year. And last year they made the finals.
Yeah.
There was only one step missing.
Yeah.
They're looking like they're not gonna skip
They're gonna
that
hit
part
that
this
step
year.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. So, well, I mean, this is Phoenix's year, like I said. Obviously, on the other side, though, on the East, Miami, Philly is a series that we said would go to 7, and this was before the whole Joel Embiid concussion injury happened. Which, let's be honest with you, Doc Rivers, you're an idiot. They were up like 20 with like 4 minutes left, and he, against Toronto in the game 6 winner, kept him in. He's got injured. I'm getting major Derrick Rose flashbacks, and
Yeah.
ultimately this is now straightforward for Miami. I mean,
It
they must think that God's shone on them today, because James Harden ain't doing it anymore. And yeah, no Embiid, who, let's be honest, if Embiid was in here, this is a whole different game, because let's be honest, that means that DeAndre Jordan doesn't play any basketball in this series. DeAndre Jordan, credits to him. He's he was
He's a basketball player.
he was a very good player.
That's all he is.
But yeah, right now he shouldn't be playing any playoff basketball.
Yeah,
And
100%.
ultimately, Philly have been cooked both games. And without Joel Embiid coming back for game 3, do you reckon that there is any way back for Philly? Do we think that James Harden's actually going to turn this on or not? We've been waiting 6 games in the Toronto series. I mean, he still didn't. He did pull through in game 6. Didn't have the best game though.
I mean,
We've waited these last 2 games in the Miami series. He ain't done it. Do we think he's finally going to turn it on, or do we think this is potentially Miami in 4?
it's mad. I mean, I've heard rumors and whispers about Joel being pushed to come back for game 3. I don't see the point in that, because I think he's not going to be 100%.
Well, he's been ruled out for game 3. He's
Oh,
not.
most definitely.
I'm pretty sure that's what I've seen. Yeah, there's no Joel Embiid game 3
Well,
tonight.
if that's the case, then yeah, it's a sweep. I'm not gonna lie.
We might have a Ben Simmons situation. He's already in Cancun. He's joined Ben Simmons.
He's joined him. He's like, yo, Ben, I'm sorry for everything. They've squashed the beef. Like, I mean, if that's the case, because this morning I saw something about he might get rushed for game 3. So I was just thinking, on that basis, Harden might step up, because they have Joel, but like a 75% Joel as opposed to 100%. But obviously now they've got none, so he has no choice. He has to step up. If it goes 2-1 tonight, and Joel can make game 4, then I think it's open series.
Yeah.
But no Embiid tonight. Harden doesn't turn up. Series is done. Miami in 4, Max
Yeah.
in 5,
Yeah,
and
because the whole point with this is that as the away team, it's okay if you lose the first 2 games on the
it's
road,
not. Yeah, it's
but
not that bad.
you have then got to win the next 2 games at home.
That's the thing.
Is what the
But
deal
it's
is.
doable.
Yeah.
Like it's not undoable. But if it's 3-0, then Miami are taking it in Philly.
Yeah.
Game 4. They are not gonna go back and do it again.
Yeah.
They want that rest because that's the thing as well. They're up by 2, so they're not like as Kobe would say, the job's not finished,
Yeah.
but they are comfortable.
Yeah.
And they know whoever they're coming up against, Milwaukee or Boston, is going to be a tough series,
Yeah, and
potentially a full series.
they are going to need that they are going to
They
need that rest because it does
they're
look
going to
like
need it.
Boston, Milwaukee are going to 7
Exactly,
potentially.
and that as well can be a deciding factor if Miami win in 4,
Yeah.
Milwaukee, Boston, easy 6 games minimum, potentially 7. They're going to be tired going into the conference finals.
Yeah.
First 2 games, they're going to be tired.
Yeah.
And that Miami, if you're smart enough and if they are thinking about this in the right way, should be a very strong incentive to go and take it in
Yeah.
Philly.
Yeah.
If especially this game tonight. They have to take this game tonight if they want to win this series and close it off in 4. They have to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Otherwise, it's blown open. Because then Joel comes back game 4, it's done. It could be done in
Yeah.
6.
Yeah. You never know. I mean, look, Doc Rivers, we've been clowning him all this time. Imagine Miami go 3-0 up and then all of a sudden Embiid comes back and Doc Rivers becomes the first coach to come back and win for free. I don't see it happening, but yeah, this is Miami's series to lose. And like I
Yeah,
said,
100%.
they're gonna need a bit of a rest because Bucks Boston, that's gonna be a tough matchup.
Mm.
Which genuinely I've no idea where this is gonna go. I personally do think it's gonna be Boston though. I mean I did say I have no idea because Giannis can literally show up whenever he wants, have a perfect game. We've said this before. Giannis
Mm.
will need to have 4 perfect games if the Bucks want to get through this series without
Yeah.
Chris Middleton. He had that perfect game 1, got that triple double. Game 2 didn't have that good of a game.
Mm. Especially in the first
Equally,
half.
equally, Drew Holiday didn't have that good of a game. Other players didn't really get much shots. But Boston's game plan, to a T, done really well. I mean, first game, Giannis shot 36% from the field. Second game, Giannis shot 40% from the field. If you can limit someone like Giannis, who is a paint beast, to below
Yeah.
50%, I feel like you've done your job on Giannis for that game. And then
100%.
it's all about either closing out on the 3-point shot or just hoping that Milwaukee don't have a good 3-point day.
100%.
I personally think that game 1, it wasn't the case of they defended bad. Boston that cost Boston the win. Boston just shot poorly. You know, Jason Tatum did kind of pick it up a little bit towards the end of the game, but overall, Jaylen Brown had an awful game. Jason Tatum, for his standards, had an awful game, and yeah, that ultimately did cost them. Milwaukee did have good defense. You can't,
Yeah, you can't
discredit
fully
that.
just fault it on poor
Yeah,
shooting. However, game 2, Boston were amazing. I'm
yeah.
not gonna lie.
If you can limit the Bucks to below 90 points, you're doing something right. Is all I'm
100%.
saying.
100%.
Yeah,
Because they
these
should at
games.
least be taking half of
Yeah,
those.
yeah, because these games they ain't gonna be high scoring because these are 2 very good defensive teams. So offense may win you games, but defense win you championships. And Boston, I
100%.
feel like they've shown in these first 2 games. Obviously, again, first 2 games at home, they're going to be traveling to Milwaukee for games 3 and 4. Things may change. Like I was saying with the Golden State game, these are 2 very similar teams, and home court advantage
100%.
might provide that 6th man on the court
Mm.
um, that can push you over the line. I do personally think that without Chris Middleton, though, Giannis can't rely on people like Grayson Allen and Bobby Portis, although they are very good players, to go off night in, night out.
Yeah, he
And
can't rely on them.
I
He
just feel
has
like
to.
Boston have better depth at the
Mm,
moment.
he has to turn up. But and like you touched on it, these are two very defensive teams in their own right. Boston, especially this year. And if you're coming to watch high scoring basketball, it's not the series for you. But if you want to watch intense, amazing defense, all around just good basketball, this series is the one. Because
Yeah,
especially that second game, I was in awe at some of the defense that was going on, which normally it's like amazing, like 3-point shooting and like mid range and stuff like that. But the defense had me actually in shock at how well they were, and that's how these teams aren't playing games, especially Boston. I'm really surprised at just how well they were. Like I knew they were gonna come nicely, but that game two showed they needed game one to adjust, and I think I'm with you on this that they're gonna take it. I can't remember what I predicted them. I can't remember what I predicted, but I think
I can
Boston are
check that for
probably
you.
gonna take it.
Um, yeah, you said Boston in 5.
Yeah, and I'm I think that could happen. I mean, like you said, Giannis has to have a perfect game to beat them because their defense is so strong. He needs to be perfect, and it's hard to be perfect against the best defensive side in the league
Yeah,
for 4 or 5
yeah,
games.
yeah.
It's
But
it's long for them.
equally, if anyone can do it, Giannis can. You know what I'm saying?
That's a fact. To be honest, that's a fact.
Yeah,
We saw him game one,
yeah.
but I'm really excited for the rest of that series. I'm not gonna lie.
No,
That's
yeah, me
my
too.
to say I do enjoy like high scoring fun basketball, which is the polar opposite in the Golden State Memphis series. I'm enjoying the Milwaukee one more, and I'm probably gonna indulge myself in that series more because of how like good it was to watch, and I think it's gonna
Yeah,
just continue that.
yeah. So, okay, so final question then, to
Okay,
do with just all of the games.
okay,
I can't record on next Wednesday, so the latest that we'll be recording next week is Thursday.
yeah.
By then, your Boston Bucks and Warriors Grizzlies games will have gone 5, and the other 2 games will have gone 6. Do we reckon the next time we record, we're going to be talking about these 4 games
Yeah,
still going ahead, or do we think that a few of them are going to be done out?
I feel like one series will probably still be on. I feel like the Golden State Memphis series will probably still be going, but it wouldn't shock me if all of the series were finishing.
Yeah, definitely.
It wouldn't. And that would be good, to be fair. That would actually be sick for us if we could actually catch the recording by the time the second round is finished.
Yeah. Well,
But
so yeah, you never know. It might be a case of last week where we kind of just deliberately wait it out for a little bit
yeah,
to try and get it done. How's it going, guys? Now, I bet you're wondering why has this just ended so abruptly. Me and Sully did have something planned. We did actually get it recorded, but unfortunately, the audio and the video on Sully's side has corrupted. Not that you could do about it, not that I could do about it, not that any of us could do about it, but unfortunately, that means that this video has abruptly ended. Sully isn't here, so I'm here doing the outro on my own. Don't worry, whatever we said doesn't detract or change anything that we said earlier in the video. To do with the second round, we did a Stay Hot ranking 30 quiz. I got Sully to answer a load of this or that questions, and ultimately that determined his 30 best NBA players. So again, it's nothing to do with the second round, and it's something that we can implement in the future. So, which is why I'm not really too fussed about losing it. So yeah, unfortunately, this is just where the video ends. So thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Beyond the Arc. Make sure that you are liking and subscribing on the YouTube. Make sure that you're sharing it out no matter what you're listening on. Make sure that you comment in on the YouTube what you think is going to happen in the second round. Make sure that you are following us on social media, most especially our TikTok, which we are trying to update probably about 4 times weekly. So make sure you're checking that out and sharing that out, because it's always a good way to spread the love for Beyond the Arc. So Sully isn't here to say he'll see you guys next week, but I am here to say that myself and Sully will see you guys next week. Peace.